Welcome to Tepke Gymnasium. We've got a big-time Mid-Illini Girls Conference basketball matchup here for you this evening back in Tepke after a brief water damage. And alongside me is Jonathan Michael. I'm Gavin Russell. Great to be back in this great gymnasium, Jonathan. And this is a big stakes game, a rivalry matchup, a lot on the line. I mean, just exciting basketball.
Yeah, really, it's just so great to be back here in Tepke. Although it's our first trip here so far this season, we're glad that Metamora is able to play here on this court. If you didn't know, there was some water damage due to a pipe burst here at Tepke Gymnasium, and there's a little bit of some damage, as you can see, but the court is playable. The Redbird at center court, you won't see that, but what we will see is lots of great basketball between the 14-6 Metamora Redbirds and the 16-2 state-ranked Washington Panthers.
And star-studded talent, as you mentioned, lots of great basketball. One side, you've got the Bradley commit, Claire McDougall, the senior. Other side, you've got the NIU softball commit, Katie Ramage. Both are excellent leading their programs.
Certainly, yeah, Claire McDougall's done a great job of leading this Washington program. Lots of underclassmen on this Washington team that are very impressive this year, and a lot of that is because of Claire McDougall. So keep an eye out on guys like Avery Tibbs and Claire's sister, Rebecca McDougall, who's also making a mark for herself in her freshman year as well. We saw them on Tuesday in Morton. They all played really well, so expecting another big performances from all three of them tonight.
It's going to be a great game. Star-studded talent. The bleachers are filling up. The popcorn's popping out the concession stand, and we're ready to go for Mid-Illini Conference girls basketball. We're going to bring it to you right here live and for free on clutchsportsil.com. We're going to step aside for a quick break. We're going to get it into the game for you real quick. Introductions and starting lineups in just a minute. We'll be back on clutchsportsil.com. Back here in Metamora for Mid-Illini Conference girls basketball. Gavin Russell and Jonathan Michael here to bring you all the action on clutchsportsil.com. We're just seconds away from a big matchup here featuring the Panthers and the Redbirds. A rivalry renewed once again. We're going to step aside here for the national anthem in just a moment. John, it's going to be a great one, though.
Yeah, it should be a great game. I mean, Metamora, Washington, it's the area's best rivalry. I'll say that right now. All these games, regardless of sport, are so close. And I think it should be a good one here. Metamora, I think, right now on paper, the underdogs, but they have the home court advantage, and they always play a lot better against their rival Washington, who is on a 4-game win streak in this series currently.
Step up at the big time. We're going to step aside real quick for the national anthem and be right back. Welcome back to Metamora. Just had the national anthem, and we're about ready to go for starting lineups A lot to break down here in this matchup. How about let's look at John Dog's notebook. He's got a lot of stats, a lot of facts for us coming his way. Before we get to starting lineups, tell us a little bit, John Dog.
Yeah, certainly. So, some things to watch, I think, in this game that we're about to see here, Tepke Gymnasium is, Washington, they've been winning big as of late. Their last 4 wins, all of them have been by 14 points or more. That 14 points was against Plainfield North, who has 1,000-point scorer Lexi Salazar on that team. That's back to State Farm Holiday Classic, but Washington has also notched big wins over Hyde Park, a great team up from Chicago. Also big wins over Canton, a 20-point win, and then a big win over Morton that we saw on Tuesday. And on Metamora's side, obviously you got to watch Katie Ramage, the NIU softball commit, and after averaging 8.5 points per game last year, she's doubled that in her last 3 games, averaging 17 points per game. Also, both these teams have played some common foes. As the lights go out here at Tepke Gymnasium, Metamora starting lineup being introduced right now, but both these teams have played the same 5 different teams. They played Springfield, Manual, SHG, Normal West, and Bloomington, and every time that they've played any of those opponents, Metamora or Washington, they've won, except for Metamora losing to SHG. So lots of measuring stick games going into this one, but it should be a good one here tonight.
It's going to be a great one. A lot of things you can base it off of, but once you get into the heat in the season, all it really matters is you show up game to game, and especially in big matchups like this, rivalry matchups, really say throw the records out the window, something you hear so often. You just got to win the game, and I guess you could even break it down and say win the quarter, win the possession. You just got to start small.
Yeah, certainly, and for Metamora, a big key for them is winning the first quarter. They're 11-2 and outscoring their opponents in the first quarter, and they're 1-3, at least when they are outscored in the first quarter. So you got to get up to a good start here at home. They'll have the home crowd behind them. Nice crowd here on hand at Tepke Gymnasium, and boy, I got to say, they started lineups with the spotlights, the PA announcer with Sirius in the background, or I don't know if it is Sirius.
Something like that. Shades of Chicago Bulls.
Yes. If it's Chicago Bulls, then it is serious. So I want to make sure I got the right song there. But, boy, that's a great atmosphere here in Metamora. Excited to get things going here tonight between these two Mid-Illini Titans.
They are the Titans of the conference, and we're ready to go for Mid-Illini Conference girls basketball. Jonathan Michael, Gavin Russell, ready to bring you all the action. Ball is tipped up, and it is won by Washington's Avery Tibbs. We'll get you the starting lineups in a moment. Carly Vaughn, though, takes it in quickly. Quick start, quick shot, no good. Other way we go. Now into the hands of Becku. Up, thrown up, no good. Becca McDougal comes down with it. Starting lineups for Washington. 2 Avery Tibbs, the freshman's out there with Claire McDougal, the senior, and Bradley commit. Freshman Becca McDougal will be the 3, the 4, Emma Heidbreeder, the junior, and 23 is Carly Vaughn, the senior guard. Here is McDougal on cue, up and in, easy bucket for Claire McDougal.
And Claire McDougal really has good memories of this gym. This is where she nearly single-handedly won Washington the regional championship last year here in overtime. Remember that game, Gavin? We were in the building for it. Metamora was up big, and then Claire McDougal just put the team on her back.
Very talented Metamora team last year, just fell short here in the regional. Ramage can't get it to go. Taken down by Avery Tibbs. Moving the ball around, Washington rather, shooting very quickly. And off the hands of McDougal. Turned it over. How about the starting lineups for the Metamora Redbirds? It's going to be the senior Mallory Bennett at the guard. Izzy Vanderschraff, the junior, wearing number 10. Number 13, Mackenzie Becku, the sophomore. Number 22, Cameron Youngquist, one of the biggest parts of this team, a senior, and senior Katie Ramage rounding things out. And driving inside, drawing the foul is Mallory Bennett, so they'll try to get on the board with their first points of the game at the free throw line. John, we saw Washington earlier this week as they took on Morton at Torrey Gymnasium. It seemed like they're shooting and trying to get the offensive flow much quicker.
Yeah, definitely. And, Washington, they had a little bit of a slow start in that game against Morton, but then they just really just turned it on, and, they were up, I believe, 21-4, if I'm not mistaken.
They were indeed. They had a big lead in that game. First point of the game is on the board for the Redbirds. McDougal will walk it up. McDougal says of her freshman teammate Avery Tibbs, one of the best shooters in the 309. That's high praise from the Division I commit.
And get this, Gavin, they said that they both go to the gym at 5:30 in the morning and start shooting it around. So it's paid dividends if you put in the hard work, as they say. If you love the game, it'll love you back, and so far it has for both those players.
McDougal drives, kicks out to Tibbs. Lots of passing. Carly Vaughn open for three. Got it to go. Second field goal of the game.
Well, that's some ball movement that would make Greg Popovich proud, Gavin. I mean, McDougal, it seemed like, had that wide open runner on the baseline, wasn't feeling 100% comfortable with it, kicked it out, and then as soon as Metamora crashed in the corner, found a wide open Carly Vaughn who can knock it down from deep.
Carly Vaughn, a senior on this roster. A lot of freshmen, but there's also a good amount of juniors and seniors, so nice balance there. 5-1 our score. Here's Vaughn again. Dumps it off into the corner. Up and no good. Pulled down, saved there by Washington. Here's McDougal. The shot is up and good, 7-1. All Washington in the first 3 minutes.
And it's just, tough to play against an opponent where they're just knocking down shots right out of the gate. Can definitely tell that Kim Barth's squad definitely does a lot of that. And off to a similar start like they were in the Morton game, although maybe even a little bit quicker this time around.
It was a pretty slow first quarter overall when they played Morton back on Tuesday, and then they turned it up big time in the second. But same theme applies. Youngquist had it. Now gives it off to Ramage. Ramage tried to drive, poked away. McDougal just looking to fight for every loose ball. Hustle is a big part of her game.
It really certainly is, and McDougal is she's just an all-around basketball player. I mean, she's listed as a forward, but she really is kind of more of a point forward before that plays like a point guard. And I mean, she just has relentless hustle, always chasing loose balls, always chasing offensive rebounds. She did it a ton on Tuesday against the Morton, and she also did it here at Tepke for that regional championship game last year. I mean, just can't imagine how much effort she was putting into that game.
Three from Vaughn, no good. It was into her second. Lots of effort, though, as you mentioned, from Claire McDougal. Trying to effort her team to a victory here tonight, but Metamora wants to have something to say to that. Shot is no good. Bounce around, Tibbs comes out with it. Still no field goals for the Redbirds. Pump fake thought better. Here's McDougal, drives inside, no good. Loves creating her own shot, though. Really likes to drive inside right there into the low post.
Yeah, she kind of caught Vantage Trap there, kind of on her heels there for a second. She kind of hesitated and then drove in. She had a spectacular one of those on Tuesday. I feel like I've already referenced their game on Tuesday so many times. I sound like a broken record. What a drive there from Ramage. And a charge. As Avery Tibbs, the freshman.
Charge is the call. The officials were a little indecisive on that one. Both officials kind of had to confer a little bit across the court. Ultimately, it's the ref on the baseline making the charge call and, perhaps a little movement, but that's one thing that you notice in the heat in the season, everybody is going to maybe have differing opinions on that. And live action, it's so hard to call.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, our referees here today, so glad that they're here. And obviously with the referee shortage, a big problem here in the state of Illinois and also all around the country. So, those referees, they really deserve a lot of respect for, honestly, sometimes just showing up. Especially with people, lots of referees dropping.
No doubt about it. Trying to drop a three is Ramage, no good. She can't get it to go. Still no field goals for the Redbirds. They have one free throw to show for. Here's Tibbs, drives inside, passes it off to McDougal. McDougal for two, off the glass. Bank is open late on a Saturday night. Claire McDougal. And she's up to 4 points, leading all scores. About 5 minutes have gone by here. Thrown up and in. There's the first field goal of the game for Metamora from Cameron Youngquist. Her and Katie Ramage have been kind of the 1-2 punch. There's a lot of players you can watch on Metamora, but kind of talk about dynamic duos of sorts. It's really been Youngquist and Ramage.
Yeah, Youngquist, the other returning starter for Metamora. They lost a couple of them from last year, like Kayla Pesha and Brooklyn Marshall. So obviously a couple of holes that Metamora is still trying to patch up from that team that had a very successful year last year. I believe 22-4, if I'm not mistaken, was their final record, obviously losing in the regional championship game here to Washington on this very floor. But they've had lots of other people that have stepped up, like Youngquist, who's played some great basketball lately, their biggest three-point threat. And also Ella Russell, their sophomore forward, who's really coming on. Well, they scored 12 against East Peoria in their last game, or 2 games ago, and then had 11 against Dunlap in their most recent contest.
3 on the way. Youngquist hits it. She's feeling it, getting hot. Other way, no good. Bounced around. Addie Kimmler comes out with it, up and in. Second chance points for the Panthers.
And that's got to be one of the biggest keys for Metamora, is to not allow those second chance points, because Washington, they're not a huge team size-wise, but they're really physical and they just have lots of grit.
Ramage throws it into Russell. The sophomore turns around, can't get it to go. Here comes McDougal the other way. Tibbs in the corner. She'll fire a 3, hits it.
It all starts with outstanding court vision there from McDougal. Just a perfect pass, put it on a dot for her freshman teammate.
Timeout taken here by Metamora. And we'll get a quick break. Let's take a minute to thank our sponsor for the game, Jake Weston State Farm. For all your insurance need in the Peoria area, whether you're in Washington or maybe even somewhere else here in Metamora, call Jake. Jake's the guy, 309-444-4441 or jakewestoninsurance.com. Broadcast's not possible without him, so thanks to Jake Weston for supporting Clutch Sports Media. Get a look there at the Washington bench wearing their road black uniforms. They've been hot out of the gate, 14-6. Some good basketball here early on, but it's been Cameron Youngquist getting it going for a couple field goals. She's got a 3 and a 2-pointer to show for. Got 5 points to lead her group. John, out of the timeout, if you're Metamora, called a 30-second one. Just kind of regrouping here in the early stages. What's the message?
Yeah, I think it's just trying to draw up a play to get some open looks. Obviously, Youngquist has had the hot hand in the early going, but we'll see what they can do with Ramage being defended right now by Vaughn. So it's going to be a tough day for whoever's being defended by Claire McDougal, but she's not on the court right now. So really this is a big opportunity for Metamora to maybe get some buckets down low.
Had a second chance opportunity, but no good. Addie Kimmler comes out with it. And out to Tibbs in the corner. Drives inside, up, blocked away there. Here's Youngquist again. She's all over the place. She's face guarded there by Becca McDougal. Feeds it over, Ramage gets it, throws it up, can't get it to go. She's had a tough time shooting the ball here tonight so far. Shooters will shoot though, gotta keep firing the ball.
And that was a good look there from Ramage. I mean, off the dribble, it's not a bad look from mid-range and didn't really have a hand in her face. Just left it a little bit short, but as you said, Gavin, the only way to get out of a slump is to keep shooting. You're not going to get out of it if you don't keep shooting. So a little bit of a tough start for Ramage, but I have good faith that she'll turn it around later today.
15 seconds to go. Looking for Tibbs in the corner for 3. Got it again. Avery Tibbs is on fire. Second 3 of the game and 17-6 double-digit lead.
Yeah, and how about the quick release? I mean, if you have a freshman able to do that, that's huge, as Ramage almost beat the buzzer there. How about the three-point shooting there from Washington in the early going, getting buckets down low and from around the arc. They're doing it all so far.
Leading the team is the freshman Avery Tibbs with 2 3-pointers, 6 points to her name. 17-6 is where we end our first quarter. I think you got a video for us, John. It's of Katie Ramage. She hit a pretty big shot. Let's check that out.
Yeah, she did. In their game against Ottawa, she had a great buzzer beaters. We'll try and cue that up here. And there you see it. There's a free throw, and Ottawa went up 47-44. Look at Ramage here dribbling across half court from the volleyball line. Gets it to go. Forced overtime. What a shot there that Ramage had. So, I mean, that was just as good of a shot as you'll see at the biggest time. I think Metamora went on to lose that game, but still really shows the range that Katie Ramage has. And you said, Gavin, she's a shooter, and if you want proof, well, you saw it just there on your screen.
She's been off to a bit of a slow start tonight, but again, shooters shoot. She will pick it up here eventually, and Metamora will start with the ball, so perhaps they have a play drawn up for her. She's got the toughest task, though, guarded by Claire McDougall. Not easy to overcome. Second quarter underway, poked out, but it's a foul on Addie Kimmler. Not a lot of fouls here in the early going. Just a couple both ways, 2 apiece. And they get it in there to Russell. Driving inside, the little floater, no good. Second chance opportunity. Russell throws it up and in. Second chance points have been to the benefit of both teams on a couple of occasions, down to a 9-point deficit for Metamora.
Yeah, they really have, and I think it could be what this game is possibly decided on. Maybe second chance points, and are you able to prevent your opponent to just get one shot? Washington has got one shot there. Kimmler just blew the wide open layup.
Couldn't get it to go. Steps through, Euro steps, and we're going to get a block there on Carly Vaughn. Trying to step through. That would have been a really nice take by Izzy Vandeschraff if she could have got it to go. But she'll get a chance to shoot too. Just 40 seconds into this second quarter. Looking at this Metamora roster, only 3 seniors, John.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously we talked about the seniors that left last year. Obviously a big hole for Metamora to replace, but they've done so pretty well so far. They're 5-2 in the Mid-Illini, 2 games behind Washington. They're undefeated at 7-0. So it's been the Panthers' conference as of late, but Metamora is right there, and a win today would do wonders for them in their hopes of a conference title, because sooner or later, or rather sooner than you expect, conference play is going to be coming to an end.
It's coming up quickly, and playoff time will be here. Metamora looking for a win, and they just got a big 3 to help cut the deficit a little bit more. More second chance points off the rebound on the missed free throw. 3 from the corner. Guess who? Avery Tibbs once again.
Yevon, from my point of view here in the bleachers here at Tepke Gymnasium, I couldn't see you hit that shot right away because the referee was standing there, but I knew pretty much as soon as it went in, I was like, it's got to be Tibbs. Sure enough, it was.
Tibbs, 3 3-pointers in the game. And batted away there by Ramage. Both teams have gotten the 3-ball going. I believe Washington's up to 4 on the game, 3 of which, again, coming from Avery Tibbs on the other side of things. Cameron Youngquist has hit 1. Able to get a 3 on the other end. Looking beyond the arc are both of these teams. Kimmler stands here on the near side. Lots of ball movement.
See Washington really working around the perimeter and trying to get, trying to find some good cuts as McDougall was there, but Oregon just take it right in with Mazzy O'Brien.
O'Brien comes in, and another freshman. And O'Brien, there's 5 on this Washington roster, so 4 rather. Plenty of youth on the up and coming for the Panthers.
Yeah, and those freshmen, they were part of a squad that won the state championship in 8th grade last year, so it's easy to see why. And, I mean, you have a class like that core of Avery Tibbs and Becca McDougall, Ainsley Redling-Schaefer, who we might see later today, and Mazzy O'Brien, who can also put the ball in the bucket as well. I mean, that's going to be a core that's going to be pretty scary for the rest of the Mid-Illini in the next 3 years.
Tipped away. Kimmler saves it on the steal. Here's Carly Vaughn. O'Brien for 3. Panthers are hot from beyond the arc. 5th 3 of the game for Washington.
Rack them up. I mean, if you're not missing them, then why stop?
Here's Tibbs going the other way. Throws it up and in.
And the foul. So it wasn't a three-point bucket, but it's opportunity for it to be a three-point play. So good things coming in threes for the Panthers. My word, what a response. After Metamora down 11 went on a little 6-0 run, Washington said not so fast.
She can get threes from beyond the arc and the old-fashioned. We'll see if she can convert the three-point play after a quick timeout here by Metamora. Let's get a quick break for our great sponsor for tonight's game, Jake Weston State Farm in Washington. For all your insurance need, call your good neighbor Jake, 309-444-4441 or jakewestoninsurance.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Some Metamora boys basketball players in the house. Ethan Kaiser over there on the far side. Not in view of your camera, but plenty of folks here coming in on a Saturday evening. Lots of hoops around the area. I was at the Morton Shootout earlier. A lot of good boys hoops happening over there. Got a great one here in front of us. Tibbs trying to complete the three-point play. Cannot get it to go. Metamora will drive the other way. Ramage up and can't get a bucket to go. She's still scoreless, but second chance points. Becku gets it to go.
I was going to say, Becku has had a good game, and she's a player that hasn't started a ton for Metamora so far, but 4 points has got her right around near the leading scorer for the Redbirds. That'd be Youngquist with 5. But maybe this is Becku's night to maybe pick up some of the slack and get things going for the Redbirds.
Kimmler backs around, shoots, and scores. The Panthers are automatic.
Automatic is the right word, Gavin. Really not too many words can describe this shooting performance for Washington, but I certainly think that's probably the best one. I don't remember the last time they've missed from the field.
Low post, stand one for Ella Russell. She's got a big size difference there, guarded by Addie Kimmler. And anytime you have a size advantage, we saw a size advantage last night at Richwood's normal community game. Jaheim Weber and company took care of business. And again, you can use your size effectively, create options in the low post, get yourself second chance buckets. That can really go to your benefit. Russell, second chance points and the extra free throw.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that was really the biggest difference maker in that game, Gavin. And we were talking after that when you said that, I thought Richwoods played the better game, but normal community just had the size, and it's really just the way it was. I mean, and Jaheim Weber and another big fella down there in the post that were doing some great work all night long, just getting putbacks, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, what have you. But size can, not every time, but it certainly can impact a game.
Saved by McDougal, nearly lost it, and finds the wide open player. That's Heidbreeder. Lots of good passing. Again, really just the fundamentals just coming into play here. Moving the ball, finding open shooters, patient shots. Just about everything going right for Washington. Trying to look to go somewhere. Tried to go inside, stolen away by McDougal. She'll call out a play, moves the other direction. And a foul, will call a push. The officials will confer. Trying to see what the call is. They are going to get a push. Bumped her out of bounds. Becku will pick the foul up.
Gotta say, yeah, I'm just still in awe of just whatever the field goal percentage is for Washington. Again, we don't have the live stats here in front of us right now. Maybe we can go over the scorers table and see, but I mean, it's got to be one of the highest percentages that we've seen, both for boys or girls, probably this entire season.
They've only missed, really to my count, maybe once or twice from beyond the arc. Not many times overall. Turned over by McDougal. Thought she had some contact there, but it's going the other direction. Metamora trying to chip back into the lead. They keep hanging around, but still a 14-point advantage for the Panthers. 3 minutes to go in the first half. Youngquist hounded there in the corner. She'll try to churn. Nothing happening. Ramage trying to get her first bucket. She does. Breaks the seal. Took a few shots, but she's on the board for 2. And pulls the Redbirds within 12.
And that's big for Metamora, obviously, also for their star player Ramage. But they're, despite Washington just raining in threes and ones wherever, as they get one down, you go in the post there, nice lefty layup. They're only down 14, which sounds like a lot, but there's still so much basketball left to be played. If you can get 2 or 3 more buckets and hold Washington, play some good defense, you can go into the halftime with a single-digit deficit. So Metamora is still, they've played well. Washington has just played lights out.
Washington has shot the lights out of the gym. Don't want to damage Tepke Gymnasium too much more again after they had some water damage to the floor, a pipe burst, freezing temperatures recently. Unfortunate. It's probably why you're wondering what's up with the floor. It's only half painted.
Well, it's only half of a Redbird. That's kind of the more striking difference. Only there's the back half of him, his beak and his eyes are pretty much gone, but I'm sure it'll get repainted back pretty soon.
I'm hearing that they're actually going to maybe put a whole new floor in, so it could be a whole different surface in the coming year, but regardless, we'll get a new floor back here. New look floor, Tepke Gymnasium, sooner than later.
A little two-tone court. I mean, you kind of got like the darker, more goldish wood, then you got the more kind of, new age, like, the lighter wood. So if you're a real hardwood enthusiast, this is a game for you. So you got taste to satisfy anybody.
Two-tone court is interesting. I do like it, but I'd like a full Redbird center court. I'm sure everybody else would agree. 2 on the other end, gets it back to 12. Metamora would like to get this to single digits by halftime. No hurry, but here's O'Brien on the 3. They cannot miss. Panthers are still red hot from beyond the arc. O'Brien hits it.
How about Mazzy O'Brien? She's got 8 to go with Tibbs' 12. Plus Rebecca McDougal has a bucket as well. So the freshmen have combined for 22 of Washington's 36 points. Outscored Metamora by themselves.
The freshmen have come to play. Here's Tibbs going the other way. Here's McDougal, the freshman. Now to O'Brien. Blocked away, though. Ramage fired up after that block. Again, anything to get that momentum shift right. It's a game of runs, and 15 seems like a big deficit, but we've seen crazier things. I've been seeing plenty of crazy basketball. Shot is up, though, and McDougal adds 2 more.
They just can't miss, Gavin. I mean, Metamora is going to almost at this point just kind of have to pray that Washington goes cold because they've been playing, some pretty solid defense. I mean, they'll have to either pull out all the stops. Head coach Kyle Wyneth will certainly be thinking defense in the halftime locker room, but you either have to hope that they go cold or just find the answer on defense, but it's hard to find one when they're just shooting so good.
12 seconds to go. Throws it to Tibbs in the corner. They'll back it out. 8 seconds now 7. O'Brien crosses her up with the left hand. Can't get it to go. Other way, half-court heave. No good. It'll be short. That's where we'll leave the first half of play. Red hot Panthers. They cannot miss. They are shooting the lights out of Tepke Gymnasium tonight, 38-21. Some big performances. John kind of summing up in a nutshell, shooting, but it was the freshmen really coming to play.
Yeah, certainly. And, when you have a star in your squad like Claire McDougal, obviously a shoe-in all Mid-Illini Conference, probably going to be an all-state pick again this year. Obviously, you put all the defensive kind of focus on her, and when you have that weapon like her, you can rely on McDougal to score, but so many more times it seems like you can rely on your other weapons because there's not as much emphasis put on them. Obviously, I'm sure Metamora knows that. They've played Washington already this year, but the freshmen have just been getting it done, playing real smart, nice cuts to the basketball, and they've made some tough shots as well, some contested ones. So, again, Metamora, they've played good for sure. Down 17 at the half, certainly not where you want to be, but they've done most of what they can do. Just kind of, control the controllables, as they say, and potentially maybe start scrapping back into this one here in half number 2.
It's Washington's game to lose, but we'll see what Metamora can do, see if they can clutch up. Before we take a quick halftime break, let's get a quick timeout to sponsor Jake Weston State Farm, our great sponsor for tonight's game. You can give Jake a call, 309-444-4441 for all your insurance needs, or visit jakewestoninsurance.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Thanks to Jake and State Farm for supporting Clutch Sports Media in tonight's broadcast. That's where we'll leave half number 1. We're going to step aside for a quick break. Got half a Redbird on the court there and one half played. We'll be back for more Mid-Illini Conference girls basketball action here in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Washington 38, Metamora 21. We'll step aside on ClutchSportsIL.com. Welcome back to Metamora High School and Tepke Gymnasium for tonight's girls basketball action out of the Mid-Illini Conference. It's been a hot shooting start for the Panthers from Washington so far. 7 threes in the first half. Big efforts by the freshmen. How about Avery Tibbs, Mazzie O'Brien, Becca McDougal all combining for majority of Washington's points in this game. Claire McDougal also coming up big. Slow start for the Redbirds, but before we get going here in the second half, I want to tell you about a big game we've got coming up on Monday. It is a big-time rematch, Metamora and SHG boys. That one's down at University of Illinois Springfield. You can catch all that action here on ClutchSportsIL.com, live and free video coverage of the state final rematch game. John, that one's going to be really exciting.
Boy, Gavin, I'm just absolutely stoked. Maybe that's even understating it. That we are in the building for that game. It's going to be just a heck of a basketball game. I'm anticipating a full gym down there at University of Illinois Springfield, the home gym of the Prairie Stars. Our Larry Larson will be joining us back there. He's got a triple header that day, boys and girls double header for UIS, and then turn around and you got the state final rematch. So it's just going to be a phenomenal day of basketball. Certainly you will not want to miss it. If you're a fan of Central Illinois high school basketball, you can't say you are and not watch that game. It's going to be a great one.
It's going to be phenomenal, but we got a phenomenal second half here for you. Washington will start with the ball. We'll talk a little more about that. I almost said Prairie Stars there, John. That SHG Metamora game on Monday a little bit later. Carly Vaughn takes it up, no good, and it's going to be off of the Redbirds, and it'll stick with Washington. So this will be their third opportunity on this possession. Both teams have cashed in well on extra opportunities, getting offensive boards. Metamora just is shot a little bit colder from the field. Again, Washington shooting one of the better performances we've seen out of any team this year. Off a leg. So no backcourt violation. Claire McDougal retrieves it. Here's Tibbs, thought about a three. Working it around. It's over a minute possession here for the Panthers, no hurry.
Yeah, why not? I mean, you're leading by 16. Obviously, there's some people and probably watching that are like, you don't want to see just the clock being just ran out. Is get a foul there by Vander Schraff.
17-point lead for the Panthers. There is a big bucket. Again, a minute and 20 seconds before Metamora even gets the ball in their favor. Again, long possessions, a lot of good passing. You said Greg Popovich would be proud earlier. That's going to continue to prove true.
Yeah, certainly, and obviously, as I was saying earlier, no shot clock, so that's something that is being considered by the IHSA and lots of different schools and administrators and everything. But Ramage almost got that turnaround to go. Good shot there, so she'll go to the line. I think that's where Metamora can really maybe start to hone in a little bit, maybe get to the line, draw some shooting fouls early, and then after you've racked up enough fouls being called against you, then you're in the bonus, and then any foul will send you to the free throw line. So Ramage, certainly a player you want at the free throw line.
She'll shoot two. First one is short. And it's early enough here in the second half, John. Maybe some keys for both sides. It's hard to pick out one thing for Washington, but obviously some things to clean up a little bit here and there.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, although I don't think there's a lot that they, could change. Maybe tighten a couple of things up on defense, but, you're leading by 18 on the road against Metamora, one of the better teams in the Mid-Illini Conference. Obviously, both these teams near the top, and then you got Dunlap as well, who's right there. And turnovers like that, though, that'll really help Metamora. We'll see what they can do on the other end, but you got to have some quick possessions. Washington, on the other hand, I think we'll see a lot longer possessions from them.
Up and in there for Katie Ramage, and she came down with a head of steam. She's looking to make an impact. She was relatively quiet, especially by her standards in the first half. Just got some open shots, couldn't hit them. You'll have that from time to time. She'll try the and one, old-fashioned three-point play. Free throw up and rims off. McDougal grabs it.
And I like this defensive effort that Metamora is putting on, kind of double-teaming McDougal up top, really testing her court vision and her passing ability.
Vaughn can't get it to go. Again, 7 threes in the first half for Washington. And a turnover by Metamora.
Now, just off the fingertips there of Becku, the sophomore, again, who hasn't started a ton for Metamora this year. Got 4 points early on. Those are just, some errors that will be corrected in time, obviously, as she progresses throughout her varsity career.
McDougal thought about it. Guarded by Ramage. Now Kimmler pulls up from the mid-range, no good. And that one's going to stay here.
Sorry about her. Camera almost cut out there for a second. Glad we got it back, but good effort there from Washington on the, again, just a second chance, just hustling to the basketball. They've really been the better team with that regard so far today.
Kimmler drives inside, gets it to go. Addie Kimmler dropping in it for 2. 6 points for her. Ramage inside, bump, no call. She'll get up for 2 more. And she's already got 5 points here in this second half of play. Passes inside, blocked away by Katie Ramage. She's got something to prove here in half number 2.
I tell you, it's all aboard the Katie Ramage train. No secret to who Metamora's relying on. Youngquist almost got that 3 to fall. You like that shot, though, coming from their 3-point specialist.
Felt like he needed that one, a big momentum shift. Ramage is making some things happen now. Washington in no hurry. Here's Tibbs. Tibbs got it poked away. She gets it back, though, and she's fouled. Great composure from the freshman. I mean, you look in the way she plays, her stat line, everything, she does not look like she's playing like a freshman.
No, definitely not. And, she got that shot to, obviously didn't go in, but she still got fouled. Kind of just regained it and shot it up with one hand. So, great composure there. And how about that free throw stroke right there? I mean, just not even close to hitting the rim.
She'll trying to get the second free throw to go. She's up to 13. Can't get it. 13 on the game, though, for Avery Tibbs. Other way, Metamora driving inside. There's 2 more for Emma Hernandez. And Metamora slowly but surely starting to creep back into this one, and a travel, unforced there. So now on this possession, you feel like any bucket just continues to kind of move the momentum needle in favor of the home team.
Yeah, certainly. I think, Metamora, obviously, we talked about at the top of the broadcast, you just want to win the quarters, and it's no secret they're going to have to win both the third and the fourth. They want to take down the number 7 team in Class 3A here on their home court, but they're going in the right direction for sure, and Ramage has really played some good basketball on both ends. We'll see. This other person help her out. Vandetraff almost got that triple to go.
And Ramage fighting in there for the loose ball. She's really looked to turn the intensity up just in the second half. She was kind of just playing through the team, playing through the offense, in there for a few rebounds, but she's really just trying to be around the ball wherever it is.
Yeah, to me, Ramage just played the second half just angry, honestly, for lack of a better term. And, I use that term in a good connotation. She just, again, like you said, has something to prove, and that really competitive spirit coming out now for the NIU softball commit.
Russell up, can't get it to go, gets her own board. Third try, that's Emma Hernandez, and it's a 13-point game. And timeout, full timeout there from the Metamora bench. They're starting to creep back in. No threes hit here in this second half so far from Washington after they hit 7. almost couldn't miss. But now it's Metamora starting to get hot. Maybe get a look at our rankings here, John. Talked about state-ranked Washington. They're ranked 7th, and a lot of really, really good teams on that list. Peoria High, Lincoln, Peoria Notre Dame, and then, of course, Washington 7th. I feel like they keep playing like this, they're just going to keep climbing.
Yeah, certainly, and that win over Morton, although Potter's not quite as close to the top as they have been in recent years, but still a very good team coached by Bob Becker. So again, that win was big. You had a big win over Canton. They're above 500, and again, like we said, they're not just beating them, they're blowing them out, winning by 20 plus. So Metamora trying to stave off the blowout, and I mean they're right back in this game, but Washington has looked extremely good, and gotta wonder if we'll see them face off with either the Lions or the Irish. You see they're ranked 2 and 3 in the poll right now. Maybe in the postseason, that would be appointment television right there, let me tell you.
Oh man, Washington versus Peoria High in a playoff bout. That would be something. The Aaliyah Guyton, Delaney Craig Edwards show versus the McDougals and the freshman quartet of Washington. Speaking of freshmen, here's Becca McDougall. Kicks it back out. Sister Claire, now to Kimler. Now a lot of passing.
Rapid fire passing, my word.
And going to be a foul offensive on Becca McDougall. So here's a chance for Metamora. They could get it down to 10 or 11 with a bucket. Apologies for the camera feed going off there a little bit. Back now. Here's Ramage with it. Russell up, gets it to go, 11-point game. Now we're starting to get a bit of a ball game. Changing into the floor seemed to help out.
Yeah, maybe it's just the psychology. Maybe they just like that one rim more than the other. That rim is on their side of the floor that maybe isn't as damaged. So half of Tepke Gymnasium that was originally there at the start of the season doing lots of favors for Metamora. They're now within single digits, pounding Washington in the paint. Stark contrast from Washington beating Metamora from behind the arc in the first half. Metamora's just taking it to him, and that's proved to be the difference maker here in half number 2, and another turnover.
And they're going to say that one's going to go to Metamora. Washington thought for sure it was off of Metamora player's foot. Officials are going to confer here a bit. And it's going to go back to Washington. A little bit of an officials conference. We'll change that up. 9-point game now. Katie Ramage has turned up the heat here in the second half. 9 points to her name, 7 in the quarter. 3-pointer on the way from O'Brien, no good. Second chance opportunity and fouled. Coming down with Emma Highbreeder. She'll get a chance to shoot too.
And just, again, second chance opportunities there for Washington. Metamora's has got to start, boxing out more. I mean, obviously two squads that are pretty similar in terms of size. So it really just comes down to effort, boxing out, and really positioning. Look at the good rebounders like Dennis Rodman back in his day. He wasn't the biggest guy in the court, but he knew exactly where to be at every given time.
Certainly something to be said about defensive rebounding. The old adage, defense wins championships, and in basketball, rebounding is a big part of that game. 10-point lead again, Highbreeder with a second free throw attempt. And it's off. Kimler dives for it. Highbreeder gets it back. So another opportunity. Carly Vaughn steps into a three. Got it!
That's massive for Washington. A 4-point possession there, and off of a third chance bucket, that'll just deflate all that momentum that Metamora had in their proverbial balloon. They can still get it back down to 10, maybe even more before fourth quarter, but now
on the way. There it is, back down to 10. Youngquist nailing it from beyond the arc, her second of the game. She's got 8 on the night. Here's Vaughn, drives in, bumped up to Kimler, and she's fouled hard. Kimmler will get a chance to shoot two. Addie Kimmler was a big part of the Washington team last year, John. I think she'd be starting, of course, some freshmen starting over her. But she's kind of that sixth player, kind of that unsung hero. If you're a Bradley basketball fan, I guess you could say the Jashawn Henry.
I was just about to say it. You read my mind, Gavin. You know, you think of, if you're a Bradley basketball fan, which I know there are a lot of here in the Peoria area, the big game against Drake just tipped off, but their bench is just so deep. And, you know, you look at Henry, Jashawn Henry and Vile Tavanine, and guys that can pretty much start. They could start on Bradley if they, if Brian Wardle, their head coach, really decided to, or any other Missouri Valley Conference team. But just sometimes players play better off the bench. Sometimes it's just the way that, you want them to maybe not be on the floor at the start of the game, not let the opposition think about him too much, then bring him in and say, well, hey, you thought that this 5 is all we got. Well, guess what? We have a weapon off the bench.
You don't always necessarily put your best 5 out on the court. It's whatever can work best, wherever your players can be best utilized. And 6 men and 6 players are a big part of the game across high school all the way to professional. And a foul here going on Metamora. I think a lot, even in the NBA, I mean, they hand out a 6th Man of the Year award every year. So there's a big place on a team for that. And Addie Kimmler fills that role very, very well for Washington. She'll take a seat. And McDougal off the inbound, can't get it to go. No foul call, a little bit of contact. Play on.
It looked like McDougal saw her facial expression afterwards. She thought it was tipped.
And Katie Ramage hits the 3. She's got 10 in the quarter, and it's down to an 8-point game. Full court pressure. Tipped away, now gets to McDougal. Now to Claire McDougal. Up, blocked away by Ramage. She is fired up.
Well, Ramage has played phenomenal basketball here in the third quarter. Really can't have played much better on both sides of the court. I mean, just swatting McDougal twice near the rim. I mean, you get McDougal with a full head of steam. She's really hard to stop. Ramage knows the recipe to do so, though.
And they're going to call a hold here. Izzy Vandeschraff, and typically in Mid-Illini play, both girls and boys basketball, they're going to allow them to have a little bit more contact. There's 8 total fouls here in the second half, combined both ways. So some things you just got to call, a little too obvious.
No one really in major foul trouble, though. Metamora, 4 of their players on the court have 2 fouls with Youngquist, Vandeschraff, Ramage, and Beku. But no one has got 3 for them, at least on the floor right now.
2 seconds, fires up Youngquist, can't get it to go. That's where we end the third quarter, but we got a ball game, folks, 48-40. Metamora coming back, and Katie Ramage dropped 10 in the third frame. But let's take a quick break for our sponsor tonight, Jake Weston State Farm. Yeah, it's Jake from State Farm. You can give him a call, 309-444-4441. JakeWestonInsurance.com. Thanks to Jake for supporting Clutch Sports Media and high school athletics. Great sponsor, as always. Had him on for football season. Glad to have him back here for some really exciting Mid-Illini Conference basketball. I'm glad you've joined us here for your Saturday evening. There's a lot of great hoops going around, but this could shape up to be one of the best. Cotton Eye Joe plays in the background. Everybody getting into it. The energy certainly is picking up here and getting into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it really has for Metamora, and it started with a Ramage. I mean, we talked about her, how she's got to be, that person, be that leader for Metamora. She's one of only 2 returning starters from that team that was so good last year, and, she knows what it takes. It's all got to start with her, and it really did. And, we also saw, good efforts from, everybody around her, like Youngquist, played some good defense and knocked in that 3. Ella Russell played some big minutes down there in the post, and then even Emma Hernandez off the bench, the junior, got a couple buckets to go. So Metamora right back into this game. They certainly have the momentum, and look there at Vandeschraff. She's almost smiling guarding McDougal, almost saying, daring her, hey, come at me. We got the momentum, and we're in our home gym.
Got to win the quarter. Both teams are looking to do so. Here's McDougal on the drive. Technical difficulties with the camera. We'll hope get those resolved here in a moment. Here's Vaughn, drives in.
My word.
Hits the deck. And a foul, it's gonna be a block. Carly Vaughn. They're gonna call this one though on the floor. A little confusion here. And it's 1-1, so it is on the floor, but they are in the bonus. It's one, trying to earn the extra. Here's Carly Vaughn, senior. First shot is up and good, nothing but twine. Second one is up and good. Vaughn hits 2 at the line, and she's got 10. One of a couple in double figures for the Panthers. Here's Youngquist. Throws it into no man's land, and it goes out of bounds, heading back Washington's way. And John, Metamora had so much momentum in that third quarter, you really can't afford to lose it.
No, definitely, and you know there was that 4-point possession that Washington had, and you know you just can't afford to have stuff like that happen. You don't want to give away any turnovers. We'll get there goes our camera again. We'll try and get that fixed real quick, but Metamora, they just gotta sustain that momentum. You can get it all you want, but it doesn't mean much if you can't sustain it. So they certainly can if they can get things going with Ramage. Maybe a 3 here or there for Youngquist as well.
Like to try to figure this out with the camera, so we'll try to get that taken care of. But speaking of taking care of, Youngquist hits a 3 down to a 7-point game. So talking about winning the quarter. So far, Metamora with a 1-point advantage in the quarter. McDougal will call a play out. Guarded by Vandeschraff. Kicks it out to Tibbs. Beyond the arc was the name of the game for the Panthers in half number 1. They had 7 threes. Been much quieter behind the arc. Much quieter scoring in general, and a moving screen. No, rather they're going to call a defensive foul here. From my vantage point, a little bit obstructed here by our camera and our scoreboard camera and computer. Thought they called a moving screen, but it will be defensive foul, so Washington will be at the line to shoot 1 in the bonus.
First time we've seen Becca McDougal at the line today. She's just got 2 points, but impacted the game on both ends. Her and Tibbs is going to be a great tandem to watch in the future.
First one is up and good.
And Gavin, to my knowledge, there's apparently, no know her name, apparently there's another McDougal working her way through the middle school ranks right now. So there's going to be even more McDougals to go around. Family of 5 girls, so a lot of basketball talent, and be terrorizing the Mid-Illini for years to come.
3 on the way, no good. McDougal pulls it down. That's a name very familiar to Washington girls basketball. Carly Vaughn with a tough drive. She's got 12. Back to a 10-point game.
Well, Carly Vaughn just doesn't shy away from the big shot, the circus shot, whatever you want to call it. He's taking it right into the teeth of the defense, getting it to go from the left side as well. Vaughn's had a good night, now up to 12 points, picks up her second foul there. And just 1 point behind their leading scorer, Avery Tibbs, with 13 for the Panthers.
Vandeschraff will inbound, gets it up. She'll get it back, tries to drive. thrown out to Ramage. Ramage for three, hits it!
What a shot from Ramage off the stupendous pass from Vanishraff. Went airborne on the baseline and threw it with one hand, so it takes a lot of skill to do that, a lot of skill to knock down that three. Metamora still right back in this one.
Tibbs trying to answer, she does! Avery Tibbs says, anything you can do, I can do better. Tibbs tried to get her totals on three-pointers here at the end of the game. She's had multiple. She's up to 16 on the game. Stolen away by O'Brien. O'Brien up and in for two. Back to a 12-point lead, and the Panthers starting to pick it up.
And just like we said earlier, Metamora's got to sustain that momentum. You know, you can maybe go a little bit 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but you can't go 1 step forward, 1 step back. And Ramage right there, right spot, right time.
Now up to 17. She's now the second leading scorer between both sides. Here's Vaughn. Vaughn drives in. Circus shot. No good, and it's going to stay with Washington. Carly Vaughn down on the play, helped up by a couple Redbirds. Emma Hernandez back in. She added some meaningful buckets in the third quarter. And timeout taken here by Washington. How about some upcoming schedules, Jonathan and Michael? Both these teams have some big ones in the late stages of their season. It's hard to say late stages. There's a few weeks left in the regular season and then the playoffs. Of course, both teams looking to make that long runs. How about for the Washington Panthers? First of all, normally U-High, Limestone, East Peoria, Richwoods, and Canton. So a couple of big ones you want to circle there. You know, U-High, you want to pick up a big win, Richwoods, but some favorable games on the upcoming slate. You want to pick up some big wins.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, U-High, Limestone, East Peoria, I think those are the 3 games for Washington. It would be favored, and U-High rebuilding a little bit, as is Limestone, East Peoria. Richwoods, though, that should be a really good game, as well their game against Canton. Little Giants have a pretty good squad this year. Well, looking over at Metamora, that's who they face next. They got the Little Giants next on January 25th, and then they'll take on Pekin, Limestone, East Peoria, then a big game against Dunlap on February 7th. Depending on what Washington does, Gavin, you know, if Washington maybe drops a game, maybe they end up losing today or down the road, that Metamora Dunlap game could end up being even bigger potential title implications if Washington has any slip-ups.
All comes down to the late stages of the season, and again, every game counts so big. Conference bragging rights and conference titles mean so much more, especially in the Mid-Illini Conference, Big 12 Conference. Great rivalries, great competition. Here's Vaughn, throws it up, can't get to go. McDougal gets the board, up and in for 2, second chance points. Claire McDougal, and she's up to 10 on the game. 4 Panthers in double figures.
It's that relentless effort. McDougal is just tough to box out, high motor player, going to do great things. Just down the road from here, Bradley next year.
Some Bradley women's basketball players were in the house the other night to check out their future teammate. Out in the corner, it's off the foot of looked like it was off the foot of a Washington player, but they're going to say it was tipped out.
That was the right call, Gavin. I did see it went off the leg or the ankle of Ella Russell. So tough call there for Metamora. Just 3 minutes and change left to go. This is crunch time for them. They got to start forcing turnovers, maybe trying to figure out, maybe do a little scouting report. Who's the player to foul? Maybe put some players on the line for Washington.
Got the steal right there. Here's Hernandez with a big layup. 10-point game and timeout from Metamora. Talked about a steal, and just seconds later, Katie Ramage comes up with it. Talk about clutch efforts. She's been not the only part, but really has been some of the biggest part for Metamora, getting them back into this game. She's just, again, come out with a different energy in half number 2.
Yeah, certainly, and it's been Ramage and it's been the rest of the Metamora team defense. Obviously, with this half-court defense, they've been, more prone to coming away with some steals and, making things tougher on Washington, who just kind of, moved the ball around and shot the ball at will in the first half, knocked down 7 3-pointers, and it looked like the Panthers may run away with this game. They're up by 17, I believe, at one point. It could have been even more than that. Now Metamora's made a game of it, though. There's 3 minutes on the clock, and you got to be urgent, but you don't need to rush. If you're Metamora, you can work the ball around and find good shots. You've got to make your trips, or your offensive trips, really count. I think that's the biggest thing at this point in the game.
You just made me think of Joe Delfonso's great words, play quick but don't hurry.
Certainly.
Can't make those mistakes. Metamora had it down to as little as 7 here in the second half after trailing by, I believe, as much as 17 in this game. They've had some fairly sizable deficits. It's 10 right now. Starts with stops.
One thing to watch is Washington does have the possession arrow, so I'm sure we'll see some jump balls, but if you're Metamora, you really just want to maybe try and force some jump balls and get the arrow back in your favor. That way, next time around, it stays with you.
Into McDougal. Can't get the layup to go. And there's a foul. Not a jump ball. I was going to say right on cue.
I was going to say it looks like it was going to be a jump right away. McDougal is just shell-shocked. He is laughing that one off. Tough one there for Washington to swallow. So opportunity, though, for Metamora, because that jump ball would have gone to the Panthers. So they get the ball, and McDougal picks up another foul. That's her third.
Maybe of note late. 2 minutes to go, 2 minutes and change. Vandeschraff over to Youngquist in the corner for 3, no good. McDougal takes it in.
That's kind of the play you wanted there. Nice screen there set by Ella Russell, trying to get her teammate open for the 3, just didn't go down.
We'll work it around. Moves it back to Tibbs.
Metamora's got to get some urgency on defense here to try and jump those passing lanes.
No hurry for Washington.
Yeah, Washington, they'll hold the ball for the rest of the game if they want to. Metamora's really just got to, just like that, Ella Russell, good hands.
Washington bled some time, but gets the steal eventually and fouled. O'Brien realized pretty quickly, knows a reach in.
And it's just the 6th foul on Washington, so Metamora not at the line yet, although the next one would put them in the bonus. So foul's not hurting too much there, just allows the Redbirds to reset more than anything.
Ramage looking to inbound, nowhere to go. Had to throw it in, and gonna say it's Washington basketball. Had to try to avoid a 5-second call.
Just an unforced error there for Metamora and Ramage. No one was really getting open, and she was trying to find somebody and just went right through her hands, and kind of a football receiver and tries to make a basket catch, goes right through his hands, and that was the case. Metamora could have called timeout, but they didn't.
Youngquist with the steal, over to Ramage, up and in for 2. And timeout Metamora, 8-point game, minute 10 to go, Ramage with 19. Believe that's leading all scorers now. We'll get a timeout on the floor and take a quick timeout to recognize our sponsor for tonight's game, Jake Weston, State Farm. Call Jake from State Farm for all your insurance needs, 309-444-4441 or at jakewestoninsurance.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Thanks to Jake for supporting tonight's contest between Metamora and Washington. A rivalry we always look forward to on clutchboardtile.com. No matter the sport, no matter the season, we like to cover it. Game reset for you. First half, all Washington. It was the 3-point show led by Avery Tibbs. They had 7 3-pointers in the first half. Cooled off significantly. Second half, it's been the Katie Ramage show. She's got 17 of her 19 here in half number 2. John, minute 10 to go in this game. Metamora's got to force some steals, got to try to get some quick buckets. What's the best way to go about it?
Certainly, and I'm going to kind of maybe throw out some numbers here, some guesstimates, we'll say, but I think, Metamora, they can spend maybe about 10 seconds trying to get a steal, and then I think, about the 1 minute mark, 8-point deficit, that's where you got to start fouling. They almost came away with one there. Vandeschraff almost poked it off of Mazzy O'Brien.
Gets it into McDougal. Nearly taken away, and a foul is called.
So that'll send McDougal to the line. I don't think Metamora wanted to foul there.
A little bit of an inadvertent contact. Trying to poke the ball away. Got to play for steals. Well, McDougal will have a chance to shoot at the line.
Certainly, probably not the player you want at the line if you're head coach Kyle White than Metamora.
But the way that Washington's been shooting, probably don't want any of them at the line.
Certainly, you make a good point, Gavin.
Went absolutely quiet in this gym. You could hear a pin drop. All I heard was nothing but net on the first one from Claire McDougal. Second one is missed, so ends up working out sort of in Metamora's favor. They got to go quickly. A minute left to go now.
At this point in the game, you pretty much got to get a bucket every time down the court.
Up and in. Becomes a 7-point game. Here's McDougal, fakes the pass. Over now to O'Brien. She can't handle it. And Metamora, the door stays open.
That's just a tough sequence there for O'Brien. The freshman in big moment probably was thinking a little bit too much. Again, something that will definitely clean up later in her varsity career, but it's a tough one there to handle. Metamora, the door is still open.
Ramage moving it around, not much time to work with, got to shoot quickly. Ramage shoots for three, can't get it to go. Rebounded by Tibbs. She'll get it over. O'Brien gets it. Back to Tibbs, got to get it across, she does. And they'll foul Carly Vaughn. 23 seconds to go, and again, you start making your free throws consistently. Don't turn the ball over, and that should lead to a Panther victory. But on the other side, Metamora's been doing exactly what they need to do, just couldn't get a bucket on the last possession.
Yeah, certainly, and I like that shot there from Ramage in the corner. She had McDougal closing out on her, so it was pretty tough for her to make that shot. That's a big free throw for Carly Vaughn on Washington. But, you know, big-time players, that's Katie Ramage. They make big-time plays, so I think you want either her or Youngquist shooting the ball if you're around the perimeter for Metamora.
And another 1-for-2 trip. 8-point game. Over to Ella Russell. Russell throws it up and off the iron. Kimmler saves it and fouled. Metamora doesn't particularly like the call. Perhaps the ref expected a take foul there.
I mean, if you're Metamora, it's a foul right there is the best possible option unless try and get a turnover, but there weren't many Redbirds around, so looks like Washington might be able to pull this one out, barring something crazy happening. Free throws like that leave the door open. Metamora's going to need 2 threes and another 2, so I think they'll have to probably get an inbound steal. Probably the most likely path to overtime or a victory for them.
Got to go very, very fast. 10 seconds to go. Throws it up, stolen away by O'Brien, and pass it around. They will not foul. Washington is going to escape with the victory. Big shooting performance, lots of big scores. 4 players in double figures for the Panthers, led by the freshman Avery Tibbs with 16. 19 from Katie Ramage to lead all scorers, but 63-54 is what will leave this one. John, a lot we can take away from this game. First and foremost, though, Washington can shoot the ball.
Yeah, certainly, and we didn't see it quite as much in the second half. Metamora really played some good defense, but my word, Avery Tibbs and company were just on fire in the first half. Carly Vaughn had a great effort shooting the ball tonight, made some clutch free throws, and then Mazzy O'Brien has again had a little bit of a bad turnover there at the end, but that should not overshadow at all her impact on the game. So again, the freshmen played well. They had Kimmler off the bench, giving them some good minutes. So overall, it's just that big first half, and they were able to do enough to kill the Metamora momentum in the second half. Even though the Redbirds, I think, were the better team in the second half, but Washington still did enough to pull this one out and win their 5th straight against the Redbirds in this series.
Look at some numbers for you. Mentioned Avery Tibbs had 16, Claire McDougal with 12, Carly Vaughn with 13, and 21, Mazzy O'Brien with 10. Those were the leading scores for Washington. Going to Metamora, 19 for Katie Ramage. That was 11 points for Cameron Youngquist. 6 points for number 10, Izzy Vandestraff, and 7 points for, didn't catch who that was, I believe it was Ella Russell.
I believe it was.
Ella Russell. So balanced scoring efforts on both sides of things. That's pretty much where we'll wrap it up here. John, some closing thoughts from this contest?
Yeah, I mean, it was just overall a really high-level Mid-Illini Girls Conference basketball. I mean, just some of the shots that we saw, and obviously the resilience there for Metamora and for for Washington, just their shooting in the first half. I mean, you don't really see shooting like that even in any basketball game, really. It's almost a historic look they had there in the first half. But as some of our fans are kind of posing there for the camera, glad they came out with us and supported Clutch Sports Media. But overall, just a great performance there from Washington. Both these teams are going to be really good going into the playoffs. Metamora will drop to 5-3 in Mid-Illini play. Washington moves to 8-0, so undefeated conference season certainly in their reach. And I think a win tonight is kind of where those ones you say, phew, we got out of Metamora. It's going to, at their place, it's going to be one of their hardest games in their conference slate so far, and they came away with a 9-point victory. So props to Kim Barth and the Panthers.
10-point win the first time for the Panthers, 9-point win this time. So pretty similar matchups if they were to meet again in the playoffs. I'm sure Metamora would like to say third time's a charm, but we'll see how the regular season plays out for the rest of these teams. I want to remind you on Monday we have a big one coming up, and it is featuring Metamora, but it's featuring their boys team. They're going to take on in a rematch of the state title game from a year ago. They'll take on Springfield's Sacred Heart Griffin. That one's going to be played at University of Illinois Springfield, a triple header that day. The Prairie Stars, men's and women's team, will go at it first. The nightcap will be the Redbirds and the Cyclones going at it, so we'll have live coverage from that one starting at 7 or 7:30, John?
6:30.
6:30.
6:30 is our tip-off, so we might go live at 6:20. There's going to be so many storylines and so much to talk about going into that game. I mean, both those teams just bring back so much experience from last year's state title game, decided on the prayer of a three-pointer from Keyshawn Singleton on Sacred Heart Griffin. Metamora, they're going to want revenge, but Sacred Heart Griffin is having an outstanding year. They're going to want to prove that, hey, we're for real, and that state title victory was no fluke. Lots of familiar players going to be taking the court in that one. Do not miss that one. Maybe one of the best regular season games in the entire state of Illinois.
Tell your friends, tell your family, check us out on social media, and there should be a lot of great coverage from that one. Got some great coverage from this one as well coming here on your way on social media. That's where we're going to wrap things up, though, here on ClutchSportsStyle.com. Doing a great job, our amazing staff tonight. Patrick Huber making his Clutch Sports Media debut, jumping in on camera. Clutch effort from him, so big thanks to Patrick, and hopefully he can come out for some future broadcasts. Carter Sullivan roaming the sidelines, doing some good work on the video. We're going to have some good stuff to post on our Instagram feed, so if you don't follow us already, hit us up there on Clutch Sports Media. We'll have some stuff in the coming day or two to post for you. Alongside my broadcast partner, Jonathan Michael, I'm Gavin Russell, signing off now from Tepke Gymnasium. Winners tonight are Washington 63-54. We'll talk to you soon. See you on Monday for Metamora and SHG. Good night, everybody.